Okay, year 1, day 54. Let's go to the tracking station and see where our spacecraft is and what they're doing. Minmus, big science. Orbiting Kerbin. Let's fly the mission. Start burn in T-minus 15 minutes. Okay. Be right back. Okay, hopefully that will help with the audio and your enjoyment. I want to look at fuel, stage, so we have a maneuver coming up, but it won't, there it goes. Alright, let's get turned about. Prep for maneuver. Warp to the next maneuver. We got a little bit of drift there. Alright. It's installed. Time for the 2 boots of KSP. Okay. I'm gonna quick save this here just in case, because it's a rather convenient spot to do this. It's a good thing I did that because I just screwed it up by not paying attention to what I was doing. And fast forwarding time warping past the target window. Silly me. Alright, there we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. First bet is boot, is to set settings, and the second is an FPS check. Okay, interesting. Oh, this is a long burn. T-minus 1 minute 30 seconds remaining on this maneuver. I guess with such a small engine in terms, it only does 125 kilonewtons of thrust. But we like that ISP. check in with the tracking station. The Wolfhound got nerfed. I don't know what the Wolfhound is. Okay, time remaining on burn is T-minus 20 seconds. Seconds to engine shutdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engine shutdown. I have no idea what that's doing for me right now, but carbon apoapsis. Minmus encounter. Alright, I don't know what's going on, but I guess we'll give it a shot. Try burning on the normal. We can line that up with the with Minmus. Certainly is affecting the that descending node there. Question is, what about getting to Minmus? That'll do it. What's that periapsis look like? 1.9 million. Okay. Fine by me. 31.1 meters per second of delta V on that change. Yeah, Pacific Rim. I thought that was a cool movie. Alright, so we're going to perform this burn, periapsis, as we whip by the Mun in preparation for Minmus insertion. Yeah, I guess some people could say that. 3-second burn time for this maneuver. T-minus 10 seconds. Alright, that gives us a periapsis of 1.6 million meters, 1,600 kilometers. That is 7 days away. We can do a lot in a week. We can build an entire space station in a week. So, you know, there's that. Looks pretty cool. On your PC is good. Okay. Okay, welcome back to the Space Center. What I'd like to do here we don't have the cupola or anything for building the space station. We have like a lander can. Hitchhiker storage container. Coupling. We're going to use docking port there. Eevee Gamer, welcome. Yeah, so let's add some electrical on here. Space station power. We have no way for storing monopropellant on here either, do we? Man, there's a lot of stuff we're not going to have because of, you know, upgrades and stuff. I mean, this will get us started as far as the space station goes, but it's pretty slim still. That fuel tank seems rather small. And then we're going to put an engine on there that looks like this. I think at some point we're going to want to separate let's use docking ports to do that then. What do you say? Longerons for launch stability. That's a basic space station. So taking screenshots, nice. Good idea. Good idea. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, space station lights. Because, you know, it's got to look pretty. Heyo. How you doing? It just looks so good. Nice. Okay, so Kerbal International Space Station. Whoops. How you doing tonight? We crashed once, sort of. Like the game froze, the music stopped. Like I could still use my mouse and I could still like move around, so it wasn't like the old crashes where everything locked up. I tried to shut a few things down, but they didn't quite work, so I went ahead and did a hard reset anyhow, just so that we could get things, you know, reset. So let's see, this will be this, we'll call this like the core part of the space station. Actually, what I also want to do, now that I think about it, we're structural. Let's add in, how should I do this? I think I'm going to leave. We're just going to make a small. This will just be the habitat module that we'll send up first. It'll have solar panels. There's the Mark I lander can on it, just for funsies. We'll send up a science module later, is the plan. Like a space station expansion with the science module. Or should we do it with this one? What do you guys think? I mean, this is going to be large enough as it is for the heavy launch. It's 16.9 tons. We're adding 3.5 tons with the mobile processing lab. The thing is, okay, now it's at 20 tons. I mean, it seems reasonable, right? The first section of our International Space Station has some habitation, has the mobile processing lab. The lander can is the command module with a few solar panels. Once we get the science from our Minmus mission, we'll unlock a whole bunch more technology, obviously. And then that's when we're really going to hammer down on the space station, right? That's what I'm thinking, anyhow. What do you guys think? Some more lights, headlights, so that if we're any incoming spacecraft need to dock with us, then they will have that capability. They'll have a light to guide them. A light to guide all mankind, right? Sure. We got an antenna. Let's see. Electrical. We should have some electrical power on board. That seems alright, yeah? How much does the liner can contain? 50, no, 50. And then these are 200 each. These are 400 each. Yeah. Okay. That's 20 tons right there. All right, coupling. Let's put in TD25. And then aerodynamics, no, payload. I guess this 2.5 shell. Right? Right? Okay, how was that not big enough? Weird. No, don't do that. Do this. I wanted to move the whole thing, y'all. We're gonna call this K.I.S.S core. If I can spell, right? And we're gonna put that in whatever orbit we put it into. Yes. Okay, now subassembly, heavy launch system. Now this should be good for up to like 25 tons. Since this is a 20-ton system, we should be pretty good here. That is a huge fairing. I suppose that's fine, though. Actually, you know what? I'm going to add one more staged engine in here for the upper stage. Just because at altitude, sea level, this is definitely a heavy lift engine right here. Sea level. Oh, so sea level-ish. Sea level. Definitely a space engine. By the time we get to gosh, it's a $1,300 engine though. 215 kilonewtons. 125. 400, but that's $2,000. That's 1,200. Good grief. If I go with, that's 1,300. Those are 820 a piece. This is 850. All these expensive engines, yo. Two of these would be 240. 820 is 1,600. Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna have to 1,200 versus 1,300. I mean, we should be at altitude by the time we kick this in. Alright, coupling. TD25. Oh, it's already there. C. Okay, how's this looking? Alright, main engine, gantries, SRBs, SRB separation, MECO, booster, fairing, staging, and then the orbital engine. Yeah, we'll call that the K.I.S.S core. Alright, why does it say, you know what? It's using the underscores there. Interesting. Alright, fine. Seriously, I can't close the fairing? What? I'm simply trying to reduce weight, make it more aerodynamic, you know, all of those things. In fact, it looks like we could do even more. Okay, maybe. I guess so. Yeah. Sure, why not? Save that. Yes, overwrite. I don't know why it asks the overwrite. Other rockets it does not. Okay. 160 tons total with the heavy launch system. We're going to call that good. Okay, so that's not going to the mud. This is just going to Kerbin. Supporting at least 7 Kerbals. This supports 9. 2 pilots on the station. Maintain stability for 10 seconds. Put your station in orbit of Kerbin. Do we have... what do we have crew-wise? We've got Valentina. I don't have any more scientists? What? Alright, let's send up, Zeldus, I suppose. That'll leave Munless in reserve. Do I really want to do that? Yeah, I guess we can. And then we can send Munless to the moon or something. And then when Jeb and Bob get back from Minmus, we will send... I guess we'll send them right back for the next, to get the rest of the Minmus missions completed. And then we'll start building the space station around the Mun so we can start doing the rich Kerbals in space stuff, start making some money there. Otherwise, I think this is ready to go. What do you think, guys? Looks like it, yeah? Let's build the K.I.S.S. Kerbal International Space Station. Putting this bad boy into orbit. Alright. Stabilization is on. Valentina and Zeldus are our pilots. Valentina is the pick, pilot in command. We can go ahead and launch in 3, 2, 1. Ignition. We have liftoff. Rocket has cleared the tower. Let's check in on our staging view. T-minus 25 seconds remaining on the solid rocket boosters. Throttling down to maintain fuel efficiency on the main engine as we pass through 4,500 meters. SRB separation. What? We had a collision impact. One of the SRBs. We need to add separators on those stages when they go away. We're through 13,000 meters. Go ahead and throttle up to full throttle. Everything seems to be working fine, so yeah, we're just gonna hold on to that, I guess. Let's take a look at this. We have T-minus 40 seconds remaining on Miko. Passing through 25,000 meters. Apogee of this trajectory is passing through 55 kilometers. Let's get turned over to the horizontal, throttling down for a moment as we coast towards the apogee. I'm going to save fuel for the horizontal burn here. Apogee of 86 kilometers. Passing through 45,000 meters. Level off on the horizon, lock that in. Apogee of 92 kilometers. Let's return to full throttle. Increase our horizontal vector. We're passing through 54,000 meters. Throttling down for Miko. T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Main engine cutoff, separation. As we complete the staging and separation event here, our booster stage, go for ignition. Showing an apogee of 107 kilometers as we pass through 73,000 meters. At this point, we can go ahead and stage the aerodynamic fairing. We have good separation of the fairing. Let's go ahead and push our nose slightly negative on the horizon. Let's go -5 degrees. Throttling up to 75%. Oh, look at that moon set back there. Let's get a good screenshot of that. That's pretty fancy. Promotional photos for future Kerbinauts. Alright, you know what? I'm going to cut engines. Let's coast to the apogee. It's still 1:45 out. Let's save our fuel for the orbital burn. We're going to have plenty of fuel in reserve here as we do this. That'll be good for any future spacecraft traveling to the Mun and back once we get the puddle jumper developed and built. Yeah, I would really like to have the cupola as our command control for the puddle jumpers. It gives a much nicer view of things. Reminder, close the hatch. What else does it say on that note? And don't forget the snacks. Software glitch, update before flight, don't forget. Huh. Danger, risk of electric shock. Warranty void if opened. Alright. Pre-flight checklist. Get permission to use ship. Turn off something. Alright, we're at T-minus 30 seconds for the apogee, so I'm going to go ahead and throttle up. Tighten loose screws, sit in chair, turn on ship systems, check fuel reserves, check snack levels. I'm going to go to full throttle, actually. Run system diagnostics, check radio contact, engage SAS, remember EVA helmet, close airlock hatch. Very smart, very smart. Oh, did I not set the action group for the solar panels? Oops. Yeah, that was a good choice of engine. We're well into space to be able to use it, so making maximum effective use of our fuel, highest thrust output as well. Wait just a tick. We must be on the downside of the orbit because that apogee is showing 27 minutes behind us. Yeah. Looking good though, looking good. Alright, periapsis, that was 22 kilometers. We're just doing a minimal throttle burn here. Alright, we are in space. Working on that contract. For the new orbital station around Kerbin, not the Mun. Look at that. Mission accomplished. 2 pilots on the station, everything. Ba-bam! Okay, so these guys, we are actually, let's push that periapsis and the apoapsis. So, like the previous K.I.S.S, we're going to have an orbital altitude of 150,000-ish in terms of our altitude. At that point, we can time warp faster for certain things, and also any spacecraft that are attempting to dock with the space station, they will get above the 150,000 threshold, so they can time warp faster as well. There's 150 on that. No, cut throttle. Dagnabbit. That was annoying. Please turn retrograde. Alright, we only have 83 units of fuel there. But we still have a full tank on the orbital engine. We haven't even touched that yet. Fantastic. I do want to bring that apoapsis down. The apogee of the orbit. I want to bring that down to 150. I accidentally did a fat finger on the keyboard and hit the wrong key. Oops. Alright, there's 151. 150 and change. Fantastic. Let's do the time warp to here. Electric charge looks solid. We should deploy our solar panels. Anyhow. Okay. Periapsis, let's raise that. Currently at 111,115 and rising. $130. Now 140. Approaching 150. Okay, that looks pretty solid there. Okay, let's switch to the space station. Since I apparently did not set an action group for these solar panels, we're going to have to do them manually. Oh, we can turn our lights on now too. And let's go ahead and turn into the orbit so that we can get all 4 solar panels exposed to the oncoming solar radiation. I mean, technically it is solar radiation, it's light, right? It's just a different version of wavelength, etc. Okay, I should have put more lights on here. I should have put some up top to shine back down this way too. But there she is. Kerbal International Space Station. Welcome to space. Okay, lots of fuel on board here for things. Whatever spacecraft docks here, we'll be able to draw from this entirely full tank, 720. This one's at Still got another 40 units there, so we have a total of, what is that, 760 on orbit. Oh, the antenna. Just for funsies, yeah, let's go ahead and extend it. I was like, wait, what are we looking at? We don't have any scientists, so we can't start research, unfortunately. We need to get some more scientists. Okay, back to the Space Center. Okay, so that contract is complete. Does that open up any more? Test the heat shield, test the protective shell orbiting Kerbin at some absurd altitude again. I'm not taking any more of those. The last time we did that, the first time we did that, yeah, it was ridiculous. It was the same, really absurd high altitude, and for that money, it's just not worth it. Observational surveys of the Mun. Space flight over those areas. Crew report in space flight. So I can see doing this in the future once we have the Mun station built, and then the lander, and then we can just use the lander to, you know, move all over the place and do things, because these target areas, they're going to be on weird inclinations, and it's going to be dumb to try and do it like we did it last time. Science? What? Yeah, Okay. So, we've got the one science mission heading to Minmus now. We've got... Here's the thing. I set it up so that the lander, with our scientist, Bob, like we would bring everybody home, like Jeb and Bob would come back home. But what if, do we have, let's just go to the vehicle assembly building. Jeb, explosions, science, right? Those are three very common words. Probably the most common words, right? Okay, where is our Minmus big science? Load this up. Pilots, scientists. So in this case, we could send just Munless. Let's take Bill out of there. And we can send him minus the lander. We'll leave the lander in orbit around Minmus, right? Actually, we can leave the lander... No, just the lander, because we got to bring the science home. That's the key thing. So we can go in and build this. Here, let's delete this fairing so I can work on it. So we don't need the lander, because we're going to leave that lander there in orbit. Hello? What am I missing, y'all? I'm not in the correct... Yeah, so we don't need the lander. We do need the science pods, these two service bays, and then the return trip with the pilot, and we'll bring Bob back. I guess Jeb's going to return home by himself. We can leave Bob in that lander, and Jeb will come home by himself. This will send Munless by himself out there, and then he'll return with Bob. That looks weird? Yeah. So then those two will return, because the science missions that we have a number of Minmus science missions. So hopefully we'll get all of the, so see these observationals, there's two crew reports. Well, this one is crew reports. Oh, that's the Mun, never mind. This is Rich Kerbals. Okay, here we go. So surface. We have 5 surface sites. We might be able to do all those on this first mission. But then the second mission, when we send this guy, Minmus out there, he's going to bring more fuel so that Bob can continue to land. So he's got 2 surface measurements here, 2 surface measurements here, and then these ones will be in space flight below these altitudes. On this contract, there's 1 below and 2 above those altitudes. Jeb and Bob heading out there right now will also complete the Explorer Minmus, which is the first time we ever go there. So, yeah, at this point, I think what we'll do is we'll just launch Minmus out to Minmus. That way he'll already be en route. Since it's taking Bob and Jeb like 7 days to get out there. Hey there, Raygun! Of course, this launch system got much lighter already because we took off the lander, because we're going to leave the other lander in orbit. Which means this fuel tank will be... it'll have more fuel in it when it gets there because, you know, the whole lift, propulsion, all that stuff. Which is fine because the fuel that we need for the lander to do those science missions will come from the tank here, because we're operating this as the orbiter and then the lander. And that'll be pretty good. So we'll call this Minmus medium science. No. Little science. No. We'll call this Minmus... I mean... it's the command module that holds 2 people, plus the science modules. What should we call this? Sans Lander. I don't know. It's a big long name. It's complicated. Okay. I'm going to put it on the launch pad. I need a bio break, if you guys don't mind. So I will be back in just a couple minutes. Probably going to get some more tea as well. So I will be back in a couple minutes. Okay, and I'm back. I think we're good to go. Got the T, we got the rocket. This thing's going to Minmus. I just want to double check the staging, SRB's separation. What does our alignment look like? Going to Minmus. Set as target. Okay. We, so if we want to get an inclination that works here, I'm going to bring the launch pad around. Screenshots, huh? Cool, cool. So what I'm looking for is a launch window such that when we do launch, we can kind of just automatically go into the proper inclination to get to Minmus. That'll save us an inclination burn later on down the road, thus saving us the delta V, meaning more fuel for the lander, better safety margins there, extended missions, etc. Alright, I think that should be fine. We'll give that a shot, that should work. Y'all ready to go? Alright, Munless. Your go for launch. Lock in stabilization. Pull up fuel. Well, hello there. You're just in time for the launch. All systems nominal. In 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. Rocket has cleared the tower. Throttling down to maintain efficiency on the main engine, the liquid fuel engine, as we ascend to the stars, to Minmus. Okay, SRBs are T-minus 30 seconds. Having success finally. That is fantastic, glad to hear it. Passing through 3,500 meters. T-minus 20 seconds till solid rocket booster separation. Let's go ahead and begin turning and burning. I'm going to lead that inertial indicator a little bit. Let's throttle up as we prepare for SRB separation. 3, 2, 1. No, 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 no. You guys. This is annoying. Alright, so we did a flip. Let's try and limit it to just 1 this time instead of 2 or 3 like last time. We are at full throttle passing through 16,000 meters. T-minus 55 seconds to Miko. These Kerbals, I tell you what, they're just little daredevils. Getting wild on their launches. Oh, we need to check our apogee. Yeah, that's pushing 55 there. Let's head towards the horizon. Increase that horizontal vector. That rocket's getting hot in here. It's a good thing we have a nose cone. Apogee of 80 kilometers, 85 kilometers. Let's throttle down on that. Throttle down. That's weird. Okay. Passing through 48,000 meters. Trying to get the inclination correct here. Let's hold that steady on the horizon. Passing through 58,000 meters. Main engine cutoff. Stage. Let's prep that upper booster. Go for upper booster ignition. Let's coast. I want to take a look at this on the trajectory. Holy rusted steel, Batman. Apogee of 190 kilometers. What is our ascending, descending node? 2 degrees. So we're pretty close. Yeah. Alright, so we are going, let's, up next, we need to stage the fairing. Service bays, solar panels. There they go. Did I put an antenna on here? I hope I did. Yes, I did. Fantastic. Okay. Deploying solar panels from the science module. We still have a couple on the command module, just as, you know, backup station keeping kind of electrical power. But having the full panels here with the station, or the science module, the service base, that helps tremendously. So we're going to call that good. Okay, this engine has 975 meters per second of delta V available. That should be plenty to get us to Minmus. The last time we did a Minmus burn, I think we did it with 909. So let's see what we can create this time around. If we do a burn here, let's add a maneuver. I want to see about it's really annoying. I thought I had it selected. Apparently not. Can we adjust? That's the ascending nodes, so we need to be on the anti-normal. Yeah, that's not going to work at that position. We need to burn that at the node, not at the apogee. That's fine. Prograde, lock that in. Maybe if we switch back to the spacecraft, we'll have good FPS? I don't know. It's fine on my end. Slobs is telling me otherwise. so I'm not exactly sure what is correct here. Let's fix that. Let's do the time warp again. All right. Let's burn prograde. Red alert! All hands on deck! Incoming raid! To your stations, to your stations! And ignition. Engines at full throttle. Bringing up the periapsis so we can create an orbit. You guys got here just in time. Keep your eye on the number over there. Looking for a periapsis that is a positive number here.
Preston Guard, Commonwealth Minmus. I got word of a settlement that needs our help.
Needs our help, yes. We're going to Minmus, in fact, that settlement. Alright, we're positive on the periapsis. Let's start throttling down as we approach 70. There's 40. 45. Welcome, everybody. Bigger Bradley. Bigger standing Bradley. Go figure. Alright, 75, 65, I mean, there's 70. Okay. Engine off. Looking good. Bam. So yeah, I built this as a standing desk this time around, and I have a nice, I got this $20 IKEA bar stool type of chair, so even if I'm sitting, check this out, when I sit down, like there's only like 2 inches of difference between sitting down, unless I slouch, or I'm leaning on the desk, then I'm like this, I'm like, yes, of course, right over there, yeah, see, the navigation ball, yes, that right there, yes. But yeah, leaning back, hanging out, and then standing up. You know what's weird is I've actually had more back problems this week. Like these muscles right along here have been tweaked. Today's the best day I've had this week. But yeah, I don't know if it was from moving or because I am standing more. So I've been standing at the desk a lot more, even when I'm not streaming, like when I'm just doing regular work and stuff, or I'm just watching Netflix, like I'm like standing, I'm like, okay. And then I got some EVA foam from the hardware store from Lowe's. Originally I had both of them, well, all 4 of them, I guess you could say. So I'm using 2 squares. Hey, thanks for the follow. Welcome. So I'm using 2 squares. I had all 4 of them here and I was standing like double thickness. But now that I have the standing desk over there for the 3D printer, I moved 2 of them over there. So, you know, it's whatever works. Turning your back on and off again? No, actually, I didn't know you could do that. How do you do that? Is there a switch somewhere? Like, push button, or? How does that work? Happy birthday, Atom Bomb Body. I do not recommend turning your back off. I don't have a reset button. Not that I know of. I mean... Thanks, I forgot. Oh, that's hilarious. I usually have a reminder in my calendar, too. You know, you get old, you start forgetting. Only robots, not humans! Yes. Okay, so we have an ascending node of 2 degrees that we need to adjust for. Let's go ahead and quick save here. I don't know if Nightbot reminded me of that yet or not. So we're going to be following, so here's the Minmus Big Science. Minmus Big Science is the same spacecraft as this, plus a lander, so that it can land on Minmus. So they're on their way out there. We're going to follow them with another support vehicle, I guess you call it, support spacecraft. It's going to stay in orbit. It has a second science package. So we're going to leave Bob in the lander, and then we're going to have Jeb fly back with the first science package. And then Munlis is the pilot for this mission. who's going to rendezvous with Bob in orbit around Minmus, carry out the next set of science experiments, and yeah. Hoping to find help. Have a lander that I sent to Eve's surface has about 9,000 EV. Stage is fine, enough thrust, just having trouble flying it. Uh-oh. Did you include a reaction control system? How about inline stabilizers? And when you say you're having trouble flying it, like what exactly are you looking at? Like, is it like turning and burning? Is it slowing down or speeding up? Like, some more details would help troubleshoot that, because we do have a couple people in here that are familiar with this game in addition to myself. In fact, one of them has been trying to get, what do you call it? A graphics mod, graphics package. That was weird. Has been trying to get that set up, I think, for that planet. It might be Eve, or it might be a different planet. Something very far out there. So, have the reaction wheels, some fins towards the back, 3 vector engines. It's just not very stable on the ascent. Oh. Center of mass and thrust. If your center of mass is out on the end, here, check this out. I'll be right back. Doo-doo-doo. Eventually I'm going to have the entire set, but here's the thing. So let's say this is your spaceship, right? Fuel tank, payload, engine. So the idea is that when all of this is set up properly, right, when you launch, your center of mass is going to be roughly in the middle, like the center, right? If the mass is too heavy up top here, it's going to want to tip over too much. If the center of mass is back down here behind the engine, now my headphones are skipping out again. They've been working fine all night. It's going to be, I'm trying to remember. But yeah, it's going to be squirrely if you have too much mass up top. So, for example, if your payload is larger, I'm going to use the fairings here. If your payload is larger on the nose, i.e. the center of mass is towards the top, right? It's top heavy in that respect. That's what's going to cause it to be really squirrely. We saw that on this launch here because I did not properly load balance the rocket. And you cannot unsee that. Yes, I know, exactly right. Large payload. I have more fuel tanks if you need a longer one. Just saying. But yeah, those are the sorts of things that you have to look out for in the design of your spacecraft. So, and then also, depending on the distribution horizontally, like how do you have things set up? Let me go, I need more parts. So, okay, more parts, more fuel tanks. So if your fuel tanks are stacked vertically, you wanted a longer one, right? Here it is. If your fuel tanks are stacked vertically, that's going to keep your center of thrust aligned with your center of mass. As soon as you start putting stuff sideways, so let's say you tried to launch it this way with a large mass up top and stacked like this, you now have this lever action. So it's going to try, you can tell these are trying to fall off because gravity is pulling them this way. When you're pushing with a rocket, The whiteboard behind him, yes. When you're pushing with a rocket, it's the same effect as gravity, so it's going to force these apart, and that's going to cause instability as well. So the further apart the mass is on your spacecraft, depending on how you built it, it's going to cause torque. And it's basically, just think of it as a lever arm as a 90-degree off of wherever your engine is facing. So if your engine down here, that torque for anything that's off to the sides is like a lever pulling it over. And so that's going to affect your stability based on your engine there. Yes, Bill Nye, the science guy. Yeah, I am the sci-fi guy. And whatever you do, do not put two engines on a fuel tank like this. That's bad, okay? But, yeah. If you use combined staple or something in Kerbal to make them like a single piece, not really. I mean, you can use docking ports to stick things together. Now that we have robotics, so there's kind of a way to do that. You could put a grabber hand on the end of a robotic arm and grab another rocket, so to speak. That's a little out there, but that's the closest thing I could think of in terms of sticking things together. But yeah, that's the thing that happens whenever it comes to trying to have stability on your rocket, is the whole center of mass and making sure it's centered around that vertical line wherever the engines are, wherever the thrust is, and then the center of mass. Lots of staged fuel tanks to push them a bit to the side to ensure safe staging without them crashing into me. Yeah, so that's another thing that you can do too. There's the little bitty tiny SRB engines that you can stick on the boosters. And then what happens when you have the stage separation? So as, okay, that one's gone. So as the booster comes off, it will, if you position them on the side of the tank, it'll push it away as it falls off, right? So as you have the stage separation, it'll also push them horizontally away, because otherwise you'll have aerodynamic forces. Like as it falls away, it'll get sucked back in, and that's what has your boosters come back and smash against your rocket, the main engine, the main rocket that's still flying, right? And you know, anything that's passing through the air is going to create a vacuum because it's pushing the air apart. Well, that vacuum is going to suck everything back into it, including your boosters, once they separate. And it's a large enough force because you're traveling so fast, it's going to suck them in really hard. Cue the jokes. Internal struts could help, yes. How many did you add, or how to push them to the bit size? Yeah. So I mean, that's really all you can do. The other thing is just watching your speeds on ascent, making sure you're not going too fast. That is a problem, especially below certain altitudes and certain density altitudes. Density altitude is how thick the air is. So what that looks like is when you're looking at the spacecraft and it shows you the atmosphere. Let me switch to this view. Right there. So you see where my mouse is here. So the light blue is the thickest part of the atmosphere. This medium blue is thinner, and then this dark navy blue is the thinnest atmosphere. If you're doing stage separations down here in the thicker atmosphere, the reactionary forces are going to be a lot greater, and you need to be going slower. As you get transition, so that's what they talk about on launch, is when you get through max Q, the maximum aerodynamic pressure. So you want to make sure that you're through that before you do a lot of your staging, or at least that you're close to it. Too fast is a problem, Kerbal? That was the point. Well, what does this guy do for a job? You know, surf the internet, play video games. Check Discord. What's in Discord? What did you put in there, Zero? Anything good? Do we have lights on this vessel? We do. We have a few. Just a couple. And they're not very bright. Oh well. So I have to explain way more than I feel I should. Well, yeah. I have a degree in electronics. Added the separatrons on the top of the stage boosters angled outwards and not downwards. Is that good? So, here's the thing. When you're thinking about vectors, you need to be careful of the aerodynamic vectors that are pushing the boosters back into your main stage. So pushing them just straight out may not help. You may want to push them down as well. So push your separatrons firing this way or this way, depending on which way you're pushing stuff. So probably this way, because you want to push them down and away. Because pushing them straight out, it may cause rotational torque, and then at that point, you now have your SRBs tumbling and smacking into the rocket if you only have the separatrons on the top, right? Whereas if you have them on the top and angled, it's going to push them away and down, and then they'll tumble that way. Or if you have separatrons top and bottom, that would probably be best because it would push them just straight away as they fall. So you always want to watch for rotational problems when you have separations as well. Ha! Rotational pork. That's awesome. So here's what's funny. The captions, I can say periapsis. There it is. But watch what happens when I say apoapsis. So most of the time I have to say apogee. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, stop by anytime. I love to talk about this stuff. I've been 3D printing rockets because I'm going to put magnets on here so that way they don't fall apart when I'm trying to show you guys how to do stuff. But I have people come in all the time that ask me how to dock with a space station or how to do this or that, just like you did. And I thought, hey, you know what? I have a 3D printer now. I should just, like, print some stuff, you know? And that way I can just talk about rockets. So, I need a whiteboard. Yeah, I probably do. All right. Happy birthday. Good night. See you later, Adam Bombardi. The mental picture. So much crazy stuff. I mean, come on. We're talking about rockets here. They're always going to be that way. That's half the conversation sometimes. But I like to stick with innuendo. I don't like to just flat out say the things. Innuendo is much better. If you can just slide it right in there into the conversation. I mean, yeah. Much better. If you have no goal, can you intercept an asteroid? It's pretty much the only thing in Kerbal I haven't done. So, yeah, that's a contract. I am playing career mode, by the way. So for everybody that came over with the raid and everybody that's new here, I'm playing career mode, no mods at all. And I missed this maneuver, so we'll just go ahead and delete it. But yeah, there's a contract that will pop up once you have your telescope. When you launch your telescope into space, then you'll get a contract to start searching for asteroids. After you do the searching for asteroids, then you actually locate one, and you can get a Excuse me. After that, you get a contract to go out and capture asteroids, and there's different sizes. I've never actually done it. Like, I've seen the contracts, and then we got the robotics, so I started my career over from scratch. So that's what this is. But apparently there's 5 classes of asteroids, if I remember. But yeah, you have to launch your telescope first in order to find the asteroids. So there's that. Okay, we're trying to get to Minmus. I should set up a maneuver node. Yeah, A to E. That's how I remember them. Where the heck is Minmus? It's this green line. It's over there. Alright, let's set up a maneuver. So, how long have you been playing? Do you play career mode or sandbox? Like, oops. Also, Schloop, how did your stream go? I saw you this afternoon doing stuff. Had to air brake it at around 30 to 40 kilometers per atmosphere. Okay. 2000 Class E rock. That was very hard. Yeah, I can only imagine. played it for a couple months. Gotcha. I have been playing pretty much like right after alpha was released, or maybe right before beta. There was some time in there. It was a bit muddled, and I don't remember. And I took some time off, like a year or two, and then last year, because I decided to become a streamer, like I decided to go for affiliate. I was like, you know what? I should have a regular program. Kerbal Space Program is something that, you know, I always enjoyed playing, and people love seeing rockets blow up. So every weekend now, I start out only Sundays, but now I do Saturday and Sunday. Every night, Saturday and Sunday, 9 o'clock Mountain Time. 5 years on and off. Nice. Still trying to get off of Eve. Ugh. Doggone it. So, yeah. Oh, my other degree is in German language and literature, by the way. I don't use either one of my degrees, to be honest. Kind of wish I at least used the electronic ones. I kind of do. You know, I mean, 3D printing is kind of technical. I did web design for many years as well. A lot of back-end development stuff, e-commerce, a little bit of telecommunications. But mostly it was my electronics degree, where I got all of my science and math experience, as well as physics. I transferred to a proper college university to get an actual engineering degree, because my electronics degree is not considered it's not a bachelor's. Look at that, closest approach, and come on, gives us a periapse around Minmus of 1.1 million meters, so 1,100 kilometers. We get there in 9 days. Fantastic. So, yeah, so I did some engineering stuff at Colorado State University. I'm in Denver currently. But, yeah. So I did a bunch of engineering stuff before I figured out that that wasn't really working for me, before I switched over to German language and literature. So I did a lot of programming. I wouldn't consider myself a programmer. Also, I consider myself bad at math, because I wasn't a math major. If I was a math major, then, you know, I'd be good at math. And most of the human population is horrible. Absolutely, terribly horrible at math. I'm only bad at math. That's the way I kind of figure it. But, yeah. I have a lot of people asking me about the aircraft, like building airplanes and stuff. Like, I've flown airplanes. I know how to do that. I know what that's like. Rockets, on the other hand, I don't know a lot about this. And I love playing with rockets. So, certificate after you got it? Yeah, a little bit more money, but not really useful. I hear ya. So yeah, the appeal to me is like using the physics and a different mode of thought when it comes to flight than what I have been used to with airplanes. It's cool that way. Alright, let's do the time warp again. Volume check. Masters or PhDs? Yeah. Good check. Awesome. Yeah, it's funny. If you've ever read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, he talks about, you know, the pay gaps and how people with doctorate level education, they're specialized. They only know their doctorate understanding of things. So you know, what that's actually like. How that's supposed to work. Credit, loans, all that stuff. Alright, let's get set up on the horizon here, and then we're going to set ourselves for the maneuver node. We need to start our burn in T-minus 5 seconds, so 2, 1, ignition. Lock in with stabilization. We are at full throttle. Heading to Minmus. There will be a staging event. Yeah, trades are starting to pick up a lot these days. There's a shortage of tradespeople, plumbers, electricians, stuff like that. Locksmiths. Okay, T-minus 45 seconds remaining on the burn. Moving along in a pretty good clip here as we pass through 2,700 meters per second. Let's switch to the spacecraft as we prepare for our staging event. Throttling down for staging. Engine shutdown. Separation. Let's go ahead and ignite the space engine. There we go. And throttle up to full throttle. Boilermaker cousin. Got to spend 750k. I probably set up rental units. Ooh. That's pretty wild. Okay. T-minus 10 seconds on the burn. The question is she financing that or is she paying out of pocket? I'm guessing financing, but still. Alright, engine off. Let's verify our trajectory here on the tracking station. But still, yeah, even with financing, you still have to have a pretty good income for something that's $750,000, you know? Okay, I don't see an intersect. I don't see... So we're going to have to throttle a little bit more, maybe? There it is. Yeah, 300k out of pocket, that's still quite a bit. There's our periapsis. Okay. Go trades. Go trades or go into business for yourself. That's the big thing. Trades is just a highly paid employee. So there's 4 quadrants if you read the Rich Dad Poor Dad books. So there's employees, there's self-employed, there's business owners, and then there's investors, right? So as an employee, you could make millions of dollars as a football player. You can make millions of dollars as a basketball player. You're still an employee. You rely on somebody else to provide your income, and you're doing work for that income. You can also be flipping burgers for minimum wage. You're still an employee. That's the lowest. That's the lowest tier, so to speak, of the what he calls the cash flow quadrant. The next stage up is where you're self-employed. So you're no longer working for somebody else. You're working for yourself, and you have clients. You have people that way, right? At that point, you get to set your own rates. Am I going to work for $20 an hour or $100 an hour? You know, you have people out there doing self-help coaching, and they charge $500 an hour. What? You have web developers. Like I used to charge starting at $50 an hour. I mean, I would regularly quote people $1,000 to build them just a basic website. You know, that was self-employed. There are pros and cons to each of those categories. When you become a business owner, it's when you take self-employed to the next level. A business owner has a business that they probably started out self-employed, but a true business is one that you can literally walk away from for a month, but because of the people and the systems you have in place, it continues on as though you weren't there, as though you had never left, right? That's a true business. So there are certain levels at which you have to get to that, right? And then the last quadrant, of course, is the investor, which it sounds like you know, your cousin is kind of skipping straight to that, where you're just buying assets that generate a return type of income, an asset. Curly Raid, what? He's back! What's up? Welcome, welcome all. We're going to Minmus. We just did our burn. You can see here, there's the trajectory. We're heading on out there. We're following Jeb. Jeb is already on his way with Bob. So here's Munless. And then here's Jeb and Bob. So we're sending the two of them out there, two spacecraft. The one with Jeb and Bob has the lander, so they're going to land at Minmus, do a bunch of science, all that stuff, and yeah, help us advance. So then we're going to leave Bob there with the lander. Minmus in this vessel is coming in with some more fuel, because I picked up like 3 or 4 Minmus contracts for this career, right? So it's going to take something in order to get all of those done. I also have a bunch of contracts for rich Kerbals. So yeah, all these surface measurements of Minmus, all of these surface and spaceflight above and below Minmus. So that's why I'm sending another spacecraft with more fuel to help back that up. But yeah, Jeb will come back with the first round of science that he gathers, that Bob gets there. And then Minmus here is going out to provide more fuel so Minmus can keep landing and continue to do other things, more science. So yeah. Commitment is much higher and there's more risk reward. Yeah, exactly. Employee rate. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you know, if you were, like I was talking about earlier, you could be a basketball player. You're still an employee, but you're making $1 million a year, right? So in that respect, you could make the jump very easily, right? So it's less risk in that respect, going from investor to, or going from an employee to investor. You could totally skip over self-employed and business owner and just go straight to investor. And there's so many different tools, so many different ways of doing that, whether it's real estate or it's stocks or it's cryptocurrency or it's, you know, buying a business that's already established by somebody else and like leave them there and let them just run it. Be like, hey, I want to buy your business, but I also want you to stay on and I'll just take a cut of the profits. Like, that's one way of doing it too. So you would be a business owner, but you wouldn't be there. You would just be the investor behind the business, that sort of thing. And at that point, then you start building your rockets, right? Remember the rockets? Yes. All right, we got a nose cone, we got a fuel tank, we got an engine. We start building rockets. Yes, that's my goal right there. Building frickin' rockets, y'all. Which is funny, because I've actually had people ask me, like, hey, are you going to sell those rockets that you're 3D printing? I'm like, well, I could. That's self-employment right there. Yeah. I actually got the 3D printer with a buddy of mine. I'm building arc reactors for people who cosplay, go to Comic-Con. That's what I'm known for in the Denver area, is my arc reactors. So 3D printing those and turning that into a small side business. So I have been into investing sort of in like cryptocurrencies and stuff. I've always worked service jobs. So my income, it does not match my knowledge. Yeah. So I have a lot of, when I worked for Sony, like I managed a store that did, you know, $1 million a month. And during the holidays, it did like $5 million a month. Like I was one of the managers. I've managed at that level, right? But because it's a service industry job, making $20 an hour, and then after taxes, it drops even lower, and then you've got cost of living. I had very little money at the end of the month. You know what a job is, right? Just over broke. So even though I was doing well as an employee and I had financial knowledge, I wasn't able to apply it because there was just no way for me to save. The cost of living in Denver is pretty high, and even if you're making $20 an hour, it's still difficult. Rent, like this new place I have, it's $1,100. Like, damn. A ditch for a bit? Okay, no worries. I'll be here. I typically stream later on Saturday and Sunday because it's Kerbal, and we get a lot of international folks as well. But it's always fun to chat. Welcome back, EV Gamer. Good to see you again. Okay, where are we at? Also, we should do shoutouts. Curly, how was your stream? Are you still here? How do I spell? I always have to look this up. Because I know Curly, there's either an E or there's not an E. There is an E. Yes. Bam. Curly Kerbal. If you couldn't tell by the name, folks, for those of you who are already here, Curly Kerbal does Kerbal Space Program as well. Good streamer there. Likes to talk very educationally. I think, you know, Curly's on a very similar level to me. Like, there are a lot of times where people come into our stream and we get the chance to like pass on knowledge and experience, and it's a lot of like stuff to go through, and it's surprising how many people are still learning about this game and still love hearing about it. Also, we missed Schloop, so let me drop Schloop Dog here as well. We got a little excited about birthday parties and everybody coming in on that raid. So Schloop Dog, he's a variety streamer as well. Does a lot of different things. You can see he was just streaming Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. He did a 12-hour stream today. Like, I got on multiple times on Twitch throughout today when I was doing chores and unpacking my new apartment and stuff. And yeah, he was on all day. Dude was grinding away. But if you like somebody who's pretty funny, plays a variety of games, he was playing Dauntless at one point. He's pretty good as well. So check those folks out. I like to share with the community. Let's see, what other contracts do I have? We have all the Minmus ones, so those guys are en route. How long is it going to take for you to get there? 8 days, okay. So those Minmus things are going to happen there. Temperature surveys over Minmus. Rich Kerbals. Oh, observational surveys of the Mun. Excuse me. Let's see. Well, here's the thing. We still have a very young career, so we don't have a lot of Kerbals yet. Let's head back to the Space Center, and I need to see... you just have to upgrade your mission control. As you upgrade the Kerbal Space Center, you get more availability of things. I'll show you here now that we're... I'm going to fast forward to the next morning. So, daylight, I can show you this. So, for example, like if you look at the runway here, if you right-click on it, I've only got it upgraded to level 2. So it increases the max vessel size and weight. If we right-click on mission control, you can see I have it fully upgraded to level 3. So at this point I can have unlimited contracts and flight planning is available. For base, 3 was max? It probably is, yeah. So, but I have my mission control fully upgraded. So I can take on as many contracts as I want to. And like the vehicle assembly building, I've only got it level 2. It's almost $1 million to upgrade that. So I can support max parts of 255. Yep. And then over here is the space plane hangar. I haven't even upgraded that. I haven't done anything with aerospace stuff. Again, because I've flown planes, I know how that works. Rockets, I don't. So I like learning about that. The administration building, I'm kind of just skipping that this time around. I don't really see a lot of benefits to it. Like, you could trade science to get money, or you could trade money to get reputation, or all this stuff, and I'm just like, you know what? I just need to make some money and get some science to unlock things, and I don't want to sacrifice either one, so... yeah. Research and development. That's a huge investment to upgrade to level 3. Research science limit 500. So I can't research anything that's above 500, for example. So like these guys, specialized control, you can see it's 160 science. The next level is 300, and then the level after that is 550. So you see how it says I cannot research. So all these research things that are gray right now, like at the level that I'm at, level 2, I can research all of these, but I'm gonna hit a wall, so to speak, when I get to these top tier ones. I'll have to upgrade this research and development to level 3 in order to access these. Like, I can still get the science, I just can't apply it until I have the more advanced facility. But right now, yeah, there's still a lot I've got to do down here to advance my my career. And then the tracking station, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. The tracking station, that unlocks a variety of things as well. So let's click on that. Patch conics visible on map, max DSN power, 50G, that's how far you can like transmit data and stuff if you're doing sciencey things. So, at the tracking station, all ongoing missions can be viewed and focused. Landed craft can be recovered from here as well. And then also your launch pad, I've got it fully upgraded, so max vessel size is unlimited, max vessel weight is unlimited, so the base limit, I think it's like 30, it's like the space plane, it's like 30 parts, or let's look at the runway. Yeah, 30 parts and like 30 tons, or maybe it's 50 tons, I don't remember. This one I've got upgraded to level 2, so it's higher, obviously. And then, but the launch pad I have fully upgraded, so it doesn't matter. Same thing with the vehicle assembly building. So, the number of parts you have. And if you mouse over this button, it'll show you, like, you can... Basic action groups available. Custom action groups available. Oh, I didn't know that. That must be part of the robotics upgrade. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the point of reputation in this game is either. I know that you can trade it for money or science if you want. I guess that's about the only thing I would do, but... yeah, it seems rather unclear as to the purpose of it. I was going to go look at mission control. Test a heat shield in flight. It's only $31,000 to do that contract. What's the test? Altitude of 46 to 55,000. That's a pretty tight window. That's only 9,000 meters. And at this speed, 1,600 meters per second to 1,900 meters per second, that's a very tight window to hit within that speed range and within that altitude to test the heat shield. I don't know about that. Yeah, it's not that bad for re-entry, but hitting the window, like, you could be coming in at this altitude, but outside, like, you could be too slow or you could be too fast. That's only 320 meters per second variance on your re-entry. So you have to hit that window, and 9,000 meters. So consider 9,000 meters at the high end. If you're going at 19, you're going to need to make sure that you do your tests, which makes, so you have 10 seconds to realize you're in the window. So it's going to take you like 1 second to look at and react to, oh, I'm in the window. And then another second to, are you looking at your spacecraft or are you in the tracking station? You're in that external radar view, right? Another couple of seconds to get to your spacecraft if you're in that tracking station view. So you've already burned 3 to 4 seconds, which means you have 6 seconds to make sure you have your spacecraft selected and run that test. So probably right-clicking the heat shield, clicking the button. It's a couple more seconds, which leaves you a safety margin of maybe 2 seconds. Oh yeah, I have a few friends who watch TV using captions, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I saw a streamer a few months ago who was using this very same web caption system, and I thought, hey, that's kind of cool. And I've just noticed sometimes, you know, I'm watching Netflix, and I'm like, what did they just say? And I have to rewind, and I still don't know what they said, because I don't know. Maybe they said it too quietly, or they said it too quickly, or they're speaking with some accent that I just, like the Boston accent, that drives me nuts. Like, what are you saying? Or the Southern, like especially like Kentucky and Tennessee. I remember driving through there. I wasn't sure I was in America anymore. Were they speaking English? Like, we were driving through West Virginia on the way to Tennessee or something or other, and I swear I could not understand what the guy at the gas station was telling me. I'm like, I just need to fill it up on 5? Yeah. So captions helps tremendously in that respect. You're able to try for re-entry without watching your craft, and you're in the tracking station. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that would be nuts. Newfoundland? That's not even the US, that's like Canada. Right? I mean, Boston's not too bad. It just depends. Or New York. I've heard a couple of New Yorkers when I was in college. There was one guy that lived in the same dorm as me, and it took him a while to acclimate to speak standard English, I guess you would say. It's like Gremlin land. That's hilarious. Okay, so all we have is an engineer and a bunch of rich Kerbals who want to go to space. So yeah, we're going to have to just go out and fly with, like, oh, you know what we could do? We could send up a probe with a command module attached, and we could bring the 2 pilots back that are sitting at the space station right now, because they're not doing anything except twiddling their thumbs. Let's see, what do we have here as far as rockets? Question mark. My FPS dropped. I can see Kerbals doing the Matrix style run. What are you guys doing? I'm trying to load a rocket. Oh, there we go. What? Oh, this mission. I remember that. That was just like a week ago. 2 weeks ago. Here's the 2 tourists. This one's a cheap rocket. It's only 30 grand. Yes, we could put a probe in here. Launch to the space station. And then bring the 2 pilots back. Because, like I said, they're just sitting on the space station not doing anything. Did I put a... I don't think I put any probe control on the space station. So the space station would just be freewheeling and flying in space. If anybody tries to... Yeah. But I kind of need pilots for other additional future missions. I'm thinking. Let me get some more hot tea. I'll be back. Alright, while that hot water's heating up, here's what I'm thinking. We could send a small rocket up. We could leave probe control on that docking port on the end of the space station. That way we would still have control over the space station even though there's nobody on board. Yeah. So the question would be... hello, computer? Okay, so the question would be... K.I.S.S core. Oh, that's a space station that needs to be renamed. Okay, we'll fix that. Why are we junking, y'all? This is going so slow. What time is it? 1:30? Alright. Let me just figure this out. So if we put the probe on this docking port, take our pilots out, Valentina and Zeldis. Zeldis was a rescue. But yeah, at least this could stay on orbit, and we could still maintain control. There is an antenna as well, so we can control the probe from ground stations and stuff. I want to... So once we get to the docking port, it means we need a docking port on the nose. Transfer these two over. Detach. Okay, I'm just thinking about how this is going to look. It is a space station. Kerbal International Space Station. Alright, there's K.I.S.S. Yeah, hot water. Tea. Oh no, what do you think? Can I do it in half an hour? It is getting pretty late. So if we modify this rocket, just thinking, should we use the two tourist or should we use a different rocket? Let me look at, here's the Mun flyby. Ooh, that's a cheap rocket. It's only 20 grand. And we flew by the Mun, so that'll definitely get us to orbit with, okay, so let's do this. Room for two pilots. One goes in there. One goes in there. The probe that we're going to leave behind. How do I want to do this? What do you guys think? How do I do this? What's the temperature? Max temp, internal skin, 2000K. Okay, so it's slightly less than the command pod, but it'll survive re-entry. We're only coming in from 150,000, so... yeah, that should be fine. Oh, we should probably provide a way of separation. Coupling, TD12, decoupler. Got two drogue chutes and then that chute. Is that going to be enough? What's the mass of the Mark 1? 0.66 tons. This is 0.84 tons. Just this guy alone is going to land at around 7 meters per second. We're nearly done. Let's see, what is that? 66, so 75% more mass. Here's what we'll do. Parachutes, utility. Big parachutes. And then we are going to, let's see, coupling, docking port. We only need one docking port. Come on, y'all. That's a huge docking port compared to that command module. You know what? Also, what's our center of mass look like this for reentry? I don't know about that. I'm gonna add thermal just to bring our weight. I mean, that kind of helps. That should be fine. The probe that we were going to stick on the space station. Right there. And then coupling, we're going to stick another docking port on the other end of that. Oh. Wait just a tick. Here's what I actually wanted to do. I wanted to stage the decoupler. Whoops, that's a... Wait, don't we have a smaller decoupler? TDS-18, TS-12... Oh, here it is. TS-6 stack decoupler. There we go. Yes. So that docking port will stick on the end of the space station. There's the probe. Then we separate after we transfer everybody over and send them home. We need a reaction control system to dock with the space station. Command and control. How much monopropellant do we have? 0 out of 10. Why is there why was that default on 0? Have you ever seen that before? That was weird. Nightbot, thanks for the shout out on loots. Hey guys, so I started this new promotion last month. Whoever the top loots leader is at the end of the month gets a free sub. So loots is free for you, and it's a nice financial kickback for me. Like a nickel, tops. So, the more viewers, the higher the payout. But seriously, yeah, it's probably like a nickel or less. So it takes a lot of loots. But it lets you post a quick little message on the stream, say hi, you know, that sort of thing. And unlike bits, it never runs out. How many of you guys have tried to get bits lately? Like, I can't seem to get bits to save my life. And I don't want to spend money on bits because I don't want to pay Twitch 20% just to get bits. I'd rather just straight up donate or use loots because then it's free and it's kind of like using bits. And it refreshes every 15 minutes, unlike, you know, yeah. Anyhow, there's my little spiel for that. Help support the stream so I can buy, like, you know, a new video card. That sort of thing. So 10 monopropellant, I'm just thinking if that's going to be enough for me. Everything should work fine as far as, yeah, that should be fine. We're not going to need a whole heck of a lot. This engine, this fuel tank, that's probably a lot of fuel for what we need. 397 meters per second of delta V. I mean, we're just going to orbit is all. Okay, what are we going to call this one? We're going to call this one pilot retrieval. We're going to call it the K.I.S.S short bus. We're going to be in low orbit. We don't need an antenna. Do we need electrical? I mean... maybe? I don't want to spend a lot of money on solar panels. How much are these solar panels? 75 bucks. Let's just do a couple of solar panels. Okay, $18,120 to send the short bus up to the space station, retrieve our pilots. Okay. Do I need to look at staging at all? This is a bloody mess up here. That staging event, that staging event. Those definitely need to be separate. That one's going to happen when we leave the space station, so that's going to happen first. Then, upon re-entry, we're going to dump the fuel tank and engine, deploy the drogue chutes at some point, and then we'll deploy the main recovery chutes, because it's going to be a little heavy, so we need some big chutes for those 2 command modules. Drogue chutes, separation of the engine and fuel tank, separation from the station. That's the orbital engine, booster engine, launch. Do we need the solid rocket boosters? We're not going to the moon. That's what this was originally designed for. A moon flyby, which includes an extra 900 Delta V for, you know, raisins. Cost-cutting measures. We are running a capitalist, for-profit organization here, y'all. Money. Alright, we got some fins, hold and guidance. Is this a swivel? This is a swivel. Okay, that's fantastic. The rock bottom price of $14,000. We're sending a rocket to space to get our 2 pilots and bring them home. Mask, welcome back. Good to see you. Okay. So, we have 15 minutes to do this. Save those changes. There should be nobody on board. Let's double check the crew just in case. Bill, what are you doing? No. Get off the command pod. There's a reason we have a probe on here. The robot can fly the rocket for us. Or at least remote control. Okay. Shall we begin? Question mark. Wow. That's a pretty cool name. I mean, it's not your name, but it's still a pretty cool name, right? Y'all ready for this? Am I ready for this? Okay, stabilization is on. Let's go to the space station, shall we? 3, 2, 1. Ooh, buddy. That's why we put the boosters on there. Hang on. Let's try that one more time, because it kind of dropped and then... yeah. Maybe we do need the boosters. That's a good question. I didn't actually see it, so... okay, full throttle this time. Yep. Wait, it's slightly too heavy. What's our 0.88 thrust-to-weight ratio? Yep. Okay. We do need the boosters. for letting go of the struts. Yeah, I think, well, it's only a 0.88 thrust to weight ratio, so one way or another we gotta have. I'm just gonna put 2 on there. Can we get away with 2? Probably. Big ones or little ones? We just need to get it off the pad. Get its momentum going. Yeah, we better use the bigger ones. Nose cones. Alright, where's my gantries? Structural. Sometimes you make mistakes when you're launching a rocket. Oh well. Gantries, engine, separation. Save, launch. Okay. Got 12 minutes to get to the space station. I mean, it's just kind of a goal. It's almost 2 a.m. But we'll continue this tomorrow, 9 o'clock Mountain Time. We'll probably finish up our journey to Minmus with our science missions heading out there. Okay, stabilization, lock that in. That's all good there. Sure, let's go. 3, 2, 1. Yeehaw. Staging view. I'm gonna throttle down as we accelerate here. Turn away from the launch pad so that when the SRBs fall back to the ground, they don't land on the launch pad. Know what I'm saying? Alright. Stage separation. Throttling up. Kraut space magic to get the... Oh, jeez. Full throttle. Alright, we now have a positive thrust-to-weight ratio. Let's go ahead and begin our turn. Start leading that inertial indicator as we fly into space. No, no, no. Stay over here, buddy. Silly robot. Passing through 7,000 meters. T-minus 75 seconds to MECO. Let's check on our trajectory. Looking good. Moving along nice and quickly now. Passing through 13,500 meters. Apogee is 16 kilometers and climbing. I heard some booms. Did the SRBs actually finally land? What? This is a new standing desk that I made when I moved into my new apartment last week. I do have a nice $20 IKEA bar stool chair, so if I sit in this, it looks like this. Not much difference. Sometimes, yes, you do need to sit. Because my desk is not adjustable in that respect. I know other people have spent lots of money on fancy adjustable standing desks. Yeah, mine's not. that fancy, and it's not that expensive. So I just got a tall chair. Miko in 3, 2, 1, throttling down. Separation. We're good on separation. Igniting the booster engine. Oh, throttle off. We're top heavy, I'm guessing. Seriously? Keep turning this way. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. It's like I can't launch a rocket without tumbling. What? Yeah, we totally screwed up this launch. What do you know? Merp. Ha ha ha. That's a good question. There should be electrical though, because these engines generate electric charge. Bonk. And yeah, control it. Well, here's the thing. Can we just pendulum over? Maybe not. Why did it do that? How did I launch this to the moon? Also, you would think that yeah, see the reaction wheel here. You would think that the robot would be able to control the reaction wheel on that command module. This command pod also has reaction wheels. More boosters, right? I had 3 boosters on the original one. I wonder if I launched it more vertically. I don't know. I guess we're gonna try it and see. What do you say? So this is nearly identical to the moon flyby. It's the 3 boosters. Yeah. We got to the moon and back. it was kind of a free return, but, you know, that whole thing. Then again, we also had a pilot and not a probe. Woo, that was a close one. Yeah, see, if we didn't have reaction wheels, we would not be able to do that clockwise, counterclockwise spin. Let's go for a more vertical approach this time. Let's get our apoapsis up higher before we start going horizontal, adjusting that horizontal vector. Couldn't hurt, right? I've seen a lot of launches where all you have to do is just go straight up and it seems to fix things. I don't know. I remember back in the day when I first started trying all this stuff out, doing crazy boosters, asparagus configuration, you know, where you have the fuel tank that feeds in the fuel tank that feeds into the center tank, so it never goes empty until the end. Yeah, all that craziness. Alright, we're at 20,000 meters. Got a 25 kilometer apogee. It's better than what we did last time. Nuke the moon. Right. Okay, MECO in T-minus 25 seconds. Current apogee is 38 kilometers and climbing. Passing through 31,000 meters. T-minus 15 seconds to MECO. Can't quick save yet, Nightbot. Hang on a minute. Alright, we have an apogee of 52 kilometers and climbing. We're looking good there. There's the gravity turn. Let's go ahead and start adjusting for our horizontal vector there. There's MECO. Let's throttle down so that when we engage the upper booster it doesn't destroy everything. Lock in stabilization. Booster is engaged. Full throttle. Passing through 47,000 meters. In VR, I mean, it's possible. I don't see why not. I mean, it's a 3D based game. You know, having this external view as we do. Alright, let's lock in the horizon there. Yeah, that was basically it. I just needed a more vertical ascent. Throttling down, preparing for stage separation as we transition to the orbital engine. And ignition of the orbital engine. Apogee of 80 kilometers, 1 minute 15 seconds. I guess we don't need the stage view anymore, do we? I'll push it slightly negative on the horizon. Passing through 75,000 meters. Alright, apogee is moving away from us. I'm going to throttle down to conserve fuel. Still moving away from us. I'm going to throttle down even more and coast to the apogee. Apogee of 86.8 kilometers and climbing. Currently at 82,000 meters and climbing. IVA POV while flying with the map craft builder would go in a universe sandbox to VR sort of way. Okay. So then when you're building your rockets and stuff, wow, I'm going to just cut the engine and coast a little bit more here. When you're building a rocket, your mouse, obviously, so like if you're using the Oculus, you know, you can get 2 different controllers. Would you use both controllers or just the one? Like, how would that work out? Or would you actually have hands and just pretend that they're giant robot hands and like grabbing robot rocket parts and like sticking them together? I got a fuel tank. Oh, there's a nose cone. Oh, hey, there's an engine where you need to stick the engine on there, right? Like, is that how you would do it in VR? I mean, just saying. You got your fairings, you need to put those together. Put your satellite inside of that. I guess you could call that your command bot, right? Stick that in there. Clunk. Okay, T-minus 25 seconds to the apogee. I'm going to switch that over. Full throttle. Finish creating our orbit here. One hand has the part list, the other hand has the one that builds. Gotcha. Alright, we don't need to throttle that hard, I guess. Let's throttle down. Apogee is T-minus 32 seconds and holding. Periapsis is climbing. We are going to have orbit shortly. Okay, I'm going to coast again because I just want to make the maximum efficient use of our fuel getting to the space station. Granted, we've got 480 meters per second of delta V available, so it's not like it's going to be difficult. We need to get to 150,000 meters in altitude. Alright, there's orbit. Let's take a look at what it's going to take to get... Where is the space station? Here's us. We are behind the space station, so we need to catch up to it, which is fine. We have the smaller orbit. We are definitely going to catch it. Set as target. Ascending, descending node, 0.6 degrees. Nothing to worry about. I mean, not really. Periapsis, periapsis. Yeah, that's pushing it away. Okay. Let's warp to here. Wow, the ascending descending node is right on the nodes for the apogee and the periapsis of the space station. How often does that happen? Like, so rarely. We could do all of our maneuvers at periapsis. Prograde, retrograde, radio in, radio out, normal and anti-normal, because of this alignment. That's kind of amazing. Like, they're not off that much. Look at that. I want to raise the periapsis, but I also want to pull it back towards us, so I want to make sure I do this mover. at the right spot. Clicking the prograde at 1 meter per second per increment. What is the projected apogee? 133. And it's pulling the periapsis towards us if we do this maneuver here. Projected periapsis, that is. Alright, we have an intersect that is forming. Let's take a look at this. 795 kilometers behind the space station. Okay, that's a 50 meter per second burn. We got 450 remaining, approximately. Let's time warp to here, get ourselves set up for that maneuver. And yeah, quick save is a good idea. Okay, let's turn towards the maneuver node. Alright, let's lock that bad boy in. T-minus 35 seconds. I'm just going to skip ahead a minute. Not a minute, 30 seconds. 25 seconds. You know. This is going to be a short burn, 3 seconds. And ignition. Engine off. Plus or minus 1.9. How does that look? Intersect is 789 kilometers. There's rocket parts all over the place, y'all. Okay, so now from here, we're still trying to catch the space station. So I'm going to leave that periapsis down there. Let's see what it looks like when we get here. It's going to drop a pretty good chunk, I would imagine. Because our periapsis is half that of the space station. And the apogee of the orbits is pretty well matched. It's within 2,000 meters. What does that say? 467? 789 minus 467 is 322, so one more orbit and then we'll do an adjustment. Yeah, 1.45 orbits, so we'll do one orbit and then we'll just adjust for rendezvous. Coming around turn 3. Turbo International Space Station is in the lead. Okay. What is that distance? 119 kilometers. Periapsis, if we add a maneuver. Retrograde. I can get us 1.4 kilometers, 80.9 meters per second at delta V. We're practically pointed that direction now. 22 meters per second at delta V, burn now. Boom. Just gonna burn some RCS to get that. Yeah, 80.8 meters per second of delta V. Between us, we have 393 remaining. Plenty well and good to get to the space station. But yeah, let's quick save that again. .4 kilometers. Okay, let's drop in here. Let's do the time warp again. Electric charge is good. Yeah, solar panels have got decent sun exposure. Oh, I didn't put any headlights on here. What if we have to dock in the dark? I thought the space station was ahead of us. I don't see it. It should be like 5 kilometers out. What am I missing? What am I missing? That's weird. It only time warped to there? What? Oh, we dropped below the atmosphere. Dang it. We're losing altitude, y'all. Seriously? I can't believe I just made that mistake. Ugh. That's like a rookie mistake kind of deal. Intersect. Oh. Good grief. I don't want to burn up too much in the atmosphere here. 53,000 should be a reasonable... Alright, so 321 meters per second of delta V. We're going to have to figure this out. So what happened was I made the burn at the apogee of the orbit, and I burned retrograde, which lowered the periapsis, the bottom of the orbit. It lowered it into the atmosphere. The threshold of the atmosphere at Kerbin is 70,000 meters. We're currently at 56,000 and falling. Because we're in the atmosphere now, we're experiencing an aerobraking maneuver. The atmosphere is causing drag, slowing us down, which is reducing our apogee on our orbit. So I pushed prograde into the periapsis to both raise the periapsis and absorb any of the loss that we got on the apogee. You can see the apogee went up over 200,000, but because of the aerobraking that is going on right now, it is currently dropping. It's dropping. It just went from 215, 214, 213, so it's going to drop as we continue to fly through the atmosphere, experiencing drag along the way. I'm trying to keep my profile as pointy as possible, right? So when you're going through the atmosphere, this is why we have nose cones on our rockets, right? So obviously if you're going into the atmosphere, you want the pointy end going through to reduce the drag. If you're going in sideways, it's like maximum surface area. It's a lot of drag. It's going to slow down your spacecraft. And in this case, it would drop our apogee a lot faster, and it would also drop our periapsis at the same time. The whole orbit would decay because it would be too low in the atmosphere. But right now, so the space station is ahead of us. We intentionally do want to have a smaller orbit so that we can catch the space station, right? It's like driving on the inside track of the racetrack versus the outside track. The outside track is a farther distance. It's going to take you longer to travel that distance, whereas the inside track, being a shorter distance, takes less time to traverse that distance. Same thing with orbits. So if the space station is ahead of us, we need to have a smaller orbit in order to catch it. But if your smaller orbit takes you into the atmosphere, like I accidentally did, because I wasn't paying attention, it's causing drag and it's delaying our rendezvous. But yeah, so by pushing into the prograde forward, for example, so prograde toward the nose, like pushing this way. Retrograde would be the engine, so pushing backwards, like reverse. So pushing into that. Okay, my apogee is still falling. I can push a little bit more into the prograde here. Maybe I can raise that back up. I don't want to do too much because it'll screw with the whole. I'll drag it into your atmosphere intercept. Yeah. So you can see these orange indicators right here. You want them as close together as possible, but as they pull apart, that's the intersect. You know, where the space station meets with the spacecraft. And it's telling us the distance, 52 kilometers, 51.8, 51 kilometers. Like, it's dropping, you know, the gap between the two. We actually do want a smaller gap because that means we're going to rendezvous. We want to get as close as possible. However, we're now experiencing a radial gap. So see how there's this gap here between. So the circle is now getting inside the track. So we would have to close this gap between the two now. Whereas before I had them lined up. So all we had to do was meet the forward and backwards. Now we have to meet the vertical as well. And now it's gone. You see that we lost the intersect. Hopefully I can get out of the atmosphere. Our apogee has dropped down to 138. The space station's apogee is 154. So if we can get closer to that. We want to match orbits as much as possible. Synchronize so that we can rendezvous. Okay, there we go. We have an intersect again because I pushed prograde into this orbit. Let's see what that distance is. 43 kilometers. Oh, the apogee. That's the top of the orbit, or the top of a trajectory. Anytime something goes up and then comes back down, this point right here where it goes up and slows to a stop and then comes back down, that's the apogee. In an orbit, it works the same way, but because you never hit the ground, there's a top and a bottom to that. So the top is the apogee, that's where you're the slowest and the highest, and then the bottom is the perigee, or the periapsis. That's the fastest and the lowest altitude. AppleSys is, that's something that Web Captioner came up with on its own. I have no idea about the apoapsis. Couldn't tell you. It's a made-up AI construct. Okay, that's pushing that apart. I need to close that gap, though. The new Area 51. Yes, rush it! I think what I'll do is we'll push those apogees together, and then I'll burn I'll have to burn prograde there as well to extend that out, because we're probably going to pass. Well, we would pass the space station somewhere over here, so I definitely want to push the periapsis up so that we don't pass the space station. But if I can match the apogee on both of these orbits, that would be better. Even though it's currently pushing the intersect apart. It's further apart. Area 51 is in America. There's a lot of dumb people here. Just saying. I think we have more than our fair share of dumb people. Okay, so if I do this maneuver at the apogee, yeah, I can certainly push those together. I hope I have enough delta V to handle all of this. Shoot the rifles to anyone trying to get in. 3 count. Yeah, if they were real nerds, they would know the math on that, and they wouldn't attempt it. Just saying. Okay, so it looks like closest approach 5.5 kilometers, 28 meters per second of delta V. .7 kilometers, yeah, 5.7 kilometers, 25.4 meters per second delta V. This burn is going to cost us, let's just round and say 69 meters per second. Coming up in 10 minutes, I need to verify how much fuel I have remaining. We have 296 meters per second of delta V. Hashtag math. Okay, so 296 minus that number there. Let's just round it and say 69. Safety margin, 227. And then at the intersect, when we get to the space station, another 25.4 meters, so let's just say 26. So 227 minus 26. We have a safety margin of 200 meters per second of delta V remaining on the fuel tanks. Oh man, we'll stop anyone. Where it comes with 30 rounds, if you start looking at the memes, you might be down for that. The memes, the memes. Multiply that by the estimated 3,000 guards. Okay, maneuver. Coming up on the final turn here. Kerbal International Space Station is in the lead. Oh, I do not want to burn towards target. I want orbit. Yeah, we might as well quick save just because. There's this tiny problem with the plan of rushing them. Tear gas. I mean, first you got to get out there in the flippin' desert anyway. It's a long trip. Run out of gas, car breaks down, run out of water. You know. Okay, 3, 2, 1, ignition. 3, 2, 1, shut down. How are we doing on monopropellant? 24.27. Intersect is currently showing 8.6. Let's see what we can get out of this. 5.5, 5.4, 5.1, 5. Okay, 5 kilometers is closest approach, 31.3 meters per second delta V. We have how much remaining? 225. So we'll have 195, 194 remaining when we get there. Yeah. Let's check again. Double check this time. Periapsis, apogee. All those numbers look good. 138 on the periapsis, 156 on the apogee. I think those numbers look good. Okay. So no one shows up. They have the shooter boys. And you think the problem is cry grenades? Absolute best second amendment case. Your ring rifles. Yeah, exactly. Let's do the time warp again. Also, you know, the government might have helicopters, A-10s. I mean, you know, we're just going to hit the ground pounders with, you know, depleted uranium. I was thinking about how they will get there. They'll be intercepted long before. Yeah, I'm thinking they'll just block off some highways. Do I have lights on this thing? I have a light. Oh, that's the command module. That's what we forgot to install. Oh, and this command module also has a light. I forgot to install headlights for docking. And there's not a lot of lights on the space station at the moment either. So this is gonna be interesting. Alright, there's the space station. 7.2 kilometers in closing. Okay, let's toggle to target there on. Oh, I can actually reach the nav ball. I want to be retrograde. What did I say closest approach was? 5 kilometers? Yep, 5 kilometers. Okay, retrograde. A lot of things. Wish them the best. There will be serious memes after they try. You know, if they win, if they fail, there's gonna be memes either way. James Square will be a joke. Spelling, mind you, yeah. Oh, I need to be watching these. You guys are distracting me with Area 51. The fact that the army has surveillance satellites, because see basically anything is bigger. Size of Volkswagen, we go. Yeah. Actually, Volkswagen's pretty big. They can see smaller than that. I mean, the satellite that blew up on the rocket launch the other day, it had a resolution of 77. It had a resolution of 70 centimeters. And that wasn't even an American satellite. That was an Arab satellite. It's going to be used for both commercial and military purposes. Joke's on them, though. They didn't launch with Falcon. They used a European rocket. So they lost their payload. Blew up in the second stage. Alright, throttling retrograde to target. I am now also going to thrust limit the engine. 10% seems like a good number all the time. Bring the target velocity down to 0 if possible, or as close to it. That looks pretty good. Watch out, Facebook Kyles. You're gonna get smashed. That's the retrograde to target. We want prograde to target. How did we... Alright, hang on just a second. Let's try this. Alright, 4 meters per second. But we got 5 kilometers to go. That's kind of annoying. Have you guys seen the movie Paul? It's more relevant. God, that was so long ago. Try against the world's biggest military force, yeah? Dude, Idiocracy was not supposed to be a documentary. Y'all. It was not supposed to be a documentary. Sigh. No, sigh as in S-I-G-H. Gotta love the captions. Simpsons called this, right? Alright, closest approach now, 2.3 kilometers. Show you how to pass the security gate. Just drive up en masse and everybody just goes right through. As long as you're in an RV, right? Or some old, you know, boat of a car. target velocity, let's get that to 0. Alright, where's prograde to target? Not that direction. Like Otis when they run out of chicken nuggets. Oh, jeez. Alright, that gets us to 1.6. 1.76, I mean. Alright. An alien under a tarp, too. Okay, so we're getting things lined up. Inertial indicator with the target indicator is pretty much spot on at this point. It's showing intersect 1 is 538 meters. It's nearly 3 minutes away, so let's do a mini warp here. Get there a little bit quicker. Let me stop warping and quick save, because, you know, it is Kerbal after all. Okay. Let's find that retrograde again. Let's do a mini warp again. You know you can do that command. Time warp. It's really loud. I might need to fix it. I'm showing closest approach is a lot more. I'm at 310 meters. The computer's telling me 399. Before that it was saying like 500. That's kind of silly. Okay. Back towards the target. We're almost there, folks. Almost there. Turning on the micro RCS to manage that. 2.1 meters per second. Okay, what did I miss? Imagine if the aforementioned 50,000 normies go there. What's the plan from then? Blasphemy. Biggest plot twist of the century, if there actually are aliens. And past that, fake news. Okay, Rush B. Okay, it's gonna end. Tear gas and drones. Nice Shyamalan. Answer. Oh yeah. Totally. Okay, I want to check something up and down. Oh, yep, there we go. Up, down, left, right. Yep, okay. That makes sense now. 1.9 meters per second. There's an alien trying to escape from 51 who's using people to provide a distraction. Maybe. Normal military attacks. It's a documentary. Alright. Alright. We're at 65 meters in closing. Let's go ahead and slow our roll here. 1 meter per second. Let's set that docking port as the target. Dun, dun, 50 meters. I'm actually going to turn this way. And then I'm going to use RCS to slide laterally. "25 meters in closing." Let's slow to 0.5 meter per second. Keep your eye on the ball. line up all the dots. And just let them kiss. Seriously, are you gonna bounce that hard? And now they're wiggling like crazy. Seriously, that was kind of ridiculous. What was the point of this? Oh, so we have a couple of pilots up here that we need. Valentina and Zeldis. We're not really using the space station at the moment, but all of our pilots are currently in space. I would like to bring these two home so we can do some additional missions, because pilots are not RC units. This is true. But anyhow, yeah, because Jeb and Minmus are piloting the two spacecraft that are headed to Minmus, and I would like to start the same thing here, but at the Mun. So, because we have a contract, so we completed the contract tonight for Kerbal International Space Station. We have another contract for an orbital station around the Mun. So I'm going to need a pilot for that. And it needs to support at least 5 Kerbals. So, yeah, we're here to pick up some pilots. Also, I'm going to transfer fuel from here to here, because we need to have enough fuel to deorbit once we load the pilots. Oh, bam. Okay, that's plenty of fuel. That should be fantastic for deorbiting. But also, because we're taking the pilots from the space station, we're adding this probe core so that we can still remote control the space station. Because if we need to move it or do something or whatever. That's a lot of fire juice, I know, right? Documentary produced by Nat Geo with the help of the US Army to discuss what was in there. The resume? You mean the result? Question mark? Aircraft and Explosives Experiment Zone. Yeah, that's probably all it is. It's just, we have this idea for a space plane, or an airplane, and we also want to blow things up. There's probably some lasers. I mean, they've been working on some of that stuff. Right? Okay, let's do this the cool way. We're gonna EVA. Bam! Can you do an EVA report? Yes, but it's not worth anything. Lame. Okay, turn on your jetpack. Valentina, turn on your headlights. Oops, go down. Forwards. Grab a hold, hop on board. I am still live. Yeah, my computer has managed to stay up, and it's almost 3 a.m. Good grief, guys. It's a good thing it's the weekend. I don't mind staying up this late for weekend Kerbal streams. Okay, and then the last one, Zeldis. Also, you're going to get to do the cool transfer. Because normally, you know, you could just click on this and then click on that and transfer the crew, but that's boring. We're going to do EVAs. We're going to fly through space like Iron Man. Alright, jetpacks on. Headlights. Alright, you need to get over there. Let's get you facing this direction, because I want a promotional screenshot of the Kerbal Space Program, Kerbal International Space Station. Okay, get back to work. Get on the spacecraft. There are EMP lasers being tested. Zeldris sounds like a bootleg version of Zelda. Ha! Did you see the laser that they developed so they can detect your heartbeat from like a few hundred yards away? And everybody's heartbeat is different. It's even more accurate than a fingerprint. Just think, if we're only hearing about it now, how long have they had that technology? least a decade. Okay, everybody is safely transferred off of the Kerbal International Space Station. And yeah. So, here's what we need to do. This fuel tank has plenty of fuel for a deorbit burn. This one is empty. Decouple. Goodbye. Look, we still have a spare fuel tank that's completely full, plus engines, on this space station. And there's so much delta V, we could just fly it straight to the moon. 1,678 meters per second of delta V available. It only takes like 900 to get to the moon. See, about 10 years ago? Yeah. New epic rack battle of history, by the way. Ubersonics. Yeah. We went to the moon in 1969, and we were celebrating the 50th anniversary this year. Like, this month. A couple of days, right? So, just saying. Okay, now that's done. These guys, let's go ahead and undock. Wait, space station, yeah. No, we don't want to undock. We need to leave the probe core there. So we actually need to stage separate, decouple. Bam. Okay, space station is here. It's on orbit. We can switch to that. We need to switch to these guys. Not the ring. Seriously? Being able to listen in on conversations through Windows. Yeah, you can do that with lasers too. I remember learning about that. When was that? I think it was in the 90s or something, late 90s. Remember hearing about that? Lockheed SR-71. Oh yeah, for sure. Also the Valkyrie program, which is what the SR-71 derived out of. A lot of that, you know, they were basically wave riding the supersonic effect, and that's why the Valkyrie, the wings are canted down, kind of like what you see on what birds of prey do, like ospreys, that's like, and peregrines. That's part of why they can fly so fast. Is they have that wing canter that holds in, and it creates that effect. The airflow gets pretty intense down there. What is this thing? Oh, that's the antenna. Duh. Okay, let's... We need to move these guys away from the space station. Yeah, that's good. Alright, disable RCS. They are on orbit. Always keep your eye on the ball. Let's go retrograde. We can click these buttons because we have pilots now. It's fantastic. Wow, that was a lot of fuel. We're back up to 568 meters per second of delta V. Let's check our orbit. I want to see, where is the Kerbal Space Center? Because remember, kids, the closer you land to KSC, the more valuable are the parts that are recovered. Oh, we're coming up on it. Let's see if we can. Let's add the maneuver here. Let's go retrograde. Okay, if we burn all of the fuel. Hold up, I need to move this to like 1 or something. Okay. Right there is all of the fuel. We'll splash down. We want to shoot just past the island airfield because atmospheric drag is going to pull this trajectory short to get us closer to the space center. However, at this right here, I think that's still a little too close. So I'm going to slide. I think that's pretty good right there. Goes your username to KFC. The more tender your chicken is. Yes. That is totally accurate. The Colonel is alive and well when it comes to web captions. Okay. Should we do the time warp again? Does anybody want to try the command tonight? I mean, I've got it up and running. Chatbot will. Or, you know, it's just a jump to the left. You could do that command too. Here we go. Doing the time warp again. Speed clock. Oh, that's funny. It's just a jump to the left. That command is left. Why? Hang on. What's our altitude? Why are we not time warping? What happened here? Warp to next maneuver. Oh. 34 seconds? Really? I don't believe you. Okay, well. Oh, I know why it's such a long burn. We forgot to reset our engine to 100%. Because when we were docking with the space station, I reduced the engine output to 10%. At 100%, wham. There we go. Start burn in 2 minutes, 11 seconds. Yeah. Now, if we do this, it's a lot closer. At 10%, we had to be a lot further away to do the deorbit burn. But at 100%, yeah, we're actually going to be there. Electric charge is decent. Okay, we've got good separation from the space station. We don't have to worry about any kind of impact or collision. Next mission. We gotta build the space station around the Mun. That'll be tomorrow night. We're gonna complete the Minmus science missions, also tomorrow night. When Jeb and Bob get there, they'll be doing the first set of Minmus science experiments, also landing on Minmus. And nuking the moon, of course. Always about nuking the moon. 8 billion units of fuel currently. Yeah. That's a lot. Okay, preparing for deorbit burn. 3, 2, 1, ignition. We're gonna burn all this fuel. Let her rip. What? It's funny how it does that when it's like changing from orbit to trajectory. Changes your camera view, perspective. Toto, Africa time. Gonna take a lot to take me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. Alright, here we go. We are bingo fuel. And go for separation. Separation, maybe? There it is. Fantastic. Now that I think about it, I should have turned a little bit sideways to get that out of our way. Oh well. Here's hoping we don't bump into it on re-entry, right? Oh wow, it threw it way the heck out there, didn't it? I see the lights. They turned on the lights for us. They left lights on at home. Kerbal Space Center. So during the weekdays, like Wednesday through Friday, I stream different games. Kerbal is the weekend. I've been playing a lot of Oxygen Not Included lately. Friday, last night, yeah. Doing the Borderlands hype, so we were playing Borderlands 2, the new Commander Lilith add-on DLC that is available for free for like the next couple of days, I think. They started offering it a while ago. Are we gonna make that? Or are we gonna splash down, or are we gonna... Uh-oh. We're gonna be landing a little short. I was hoping for splashdown, but I guess not. You'd rather bump into it, that'd be more interesting. So they say. Okay, we got some fire. We're on re-entry. So yeah, we were playing Borderlands 2 last night, and it's pretty fun. I mean, I've played the game for years, you know. I've got 4 different characters, 2 of which are the same. I've got 2, what is Myra? Sirens. I've got 2 Sirens. I've got an Assassin and a Commando. The Assassin is my highest level. He's like 53 or something like that. But I took a break from playing it for, you know, a year or 2, and now I'm getting back into it because Borderlands 3 is coming out this fall, and all excited for that. Land over the hangar. Oops. Yeah, we're gonna land out in the plains here, it looks like. I also play They Are Billions, if you guys have heard of that one. So it's a city builder. Like you build your colony / city, and it's steampunk theme. And then the infected come. And they usually come in, they start out in small swarms, and the objective, like the normal objective, is to last 120 days. Then it starts getting hard. That level is 100 days, and then there's like super stupid hard, which is 80 days. Yeah, it's quite the game, that's for sure. All right, let's do some drogue shoots, shall we? What is radar altimeter? So 8,000 there. So it's off by about 1,000 meters. I haven't played that in like a month or 2. Maybe I'll play that next week. But one of my sub perks, like during Oxygen Not Included, if you decide to sub, you get to rename one of the people. If I were able to do that in Kerbal without a mod, I would offer that as well. But you can't, so they keep their names. I don't like playing with the mods. There's too much that can go wrong and break. You know, I had a viewer in here earlier tonight who was having issues with his mods, just trying to do the textures, like upgrade to better textures and stuff. I don't want that brain damage. I don't want those headaches. You can always create Kerbals. Really? Epic Games has more spyware than Pirate Bay. Wait, what's not coming out till much later legally? Oh, speaking of explosions, let's deploy the rest of the parachutes, just in case. The debug menu, if you're being honest, creating new Kerbals costs money. Oh, yeah. Look, there's Minmus. This bright little dot in the sky. Okay. There we go. Radar altimeter tells us 900 meters. There's 700 meters. No, radar altimeter. Here we go. Yeah. 5, 6, 7, 800 meters. This is, let's see, what is that? 1,000, 1,500, 1,600 meters. Vertical speed indicator says roughly 5 meters per, maybe 6 meters per second descent rate. The view out the window looks like, ooh, upside down, mountains. Let's take a picture of that. Promotional screenshots, right? Oh, there should be another view then, because we have the 2 command. Aha, look at that, y'all. Alright, yeah, landing at 5 and change meters per second. That's fine. But it's going to take a hot minute. So, yeah, tomorrow night we're going to continue. We've got the contracts for Minmus, where we're sending Jeb and Bob the first round to collect more science and land on Minmus. We also have some rich Kerbals, which we'll do probably, I don't know, next week. I don't know if we'll get to that tomorrow night. Temperature surveys of Minmus, these are the things that we're working on. So a lot of surface surveys, a couple more here with spaceflight above and below certain altitudes. And then also, so we've got 4 Minmus contracts, it looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to try, with these 2 missions, we're going to try and complete all 4 of those contracts tomorrow night at Minmus, and also launch a space station to the moon. Landed in Australia again. Oh, looking out the front comm pod. Yeah. Can you get a surface sample here, please? Oh, fantastic. 2.3 science. Let's do your EVA report. Nothing. Alright, hop on board. Forbidden knowledge. The underside of the flat Kerbin. Yeah. Alright, let's recover. So now we have pilots again, so we can launch the space station to the moon. And then those 4 Minmus contracts. Tomorrow night's going to be as busy as tonight was. Yeah, lots of work to do. And then also, like, expanding the Kerbal space station. No XP gain, no XP gain. Really? Alright. So, there it is, folks. That's the end of tonight. It's like 3 a.m. Good grief. 2:59. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you to Curly Kerbal for hosting, and also to Schloopdog for the raid. Appreciate you guys. Let's go take a look here. Let's see if we can pass along. For those of you that want to stick around and watch some more Kerbal. May not be nighttime for you, right? It might be daytime. Let's see. Volume check. How would they look like? That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, we can tell by the way that the Space Center looks like what that ought to be. Slash check, start to TV. Ooh, this guy's doing bad space shenanigans. Falcon Heavy. Career mode. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, after we get past the ad. But yeah, winding down for the night, so just want to pass on the raid and hosting. Good vibes. Okay, ad. That's enough already. But let's go check out /Jack, shall we? Build Falcon Heavy 3. Looks interesting, if there's anybody there. Oh, it looks like he's loading. Oh, you're going to be just in time for like a rocket launch, maybe. Oh, shoot, I wasn't fast enough. And the stupid ad. So, yep. Have a good night, guys. I hope to see you again, 9 o'clock Mountain Time, tomorrow night. We'll do some more rockets, all that stuff.